So here I have the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and it's now been over a week since this phone first launched. I've switched over my SIM from the S24 Ultra to try out this phone, and all I can really say is it's another weird year. So unboxing this thing, we have the same box you'd expect from Apple on the outside, but I wasn't expecting them to change the inside so much. I guess they just needed something to make it feel more different. Picking this black titanium phone up though, I can't lie, it looks really good, and it's not saying much because the Pro colors honestly aren't very impressive this year, but I think this is the best looking Pro phone. Also, we have camera control on this side, which I'll go into in a minute, but the first click felt okay. What I wasn't expecting was them to reorganize the box like they did. The cable is now folded up in a pill shape rather than being circular, same with the pamphlet, and other than two little sheets, that's all we get inside. So first, I think we should talk about the design, and really it's mostly unchanged. If you're just looking at this phone from the back side, it's identical to last year's model, and the feel in hand, at least to me, feels exactly the same. That said though, I believe the body itself is actually slightly larger, and this is the biggest screen that we've seen on an iPhone. It's 6.9 inches, which is massive. Looking at it next to the regular 15 Pro, it is a large phone. I'm already used to it and loving it because I've been on the S24 Ultra, which has a 6.8 inch screen, and I'm just a fan of having this much screen real estate. Compared to the 15 Pro Max, which has a 6.7 inch display, it's a 0.2 inch difference, so not much, but I still wish I had one to compare physically. Other than the size though, the screens are the same. The only real difference is that these can now get to 1 nit of brightness, and they have an updated version of Ceramic Shield. I still wouldn't recommend you drop these though. One thing I did notice as soon as I booted up this phone is the bezels. In reality, it probably won't make that much of a difference if you're on the last one, but I could tell that these were a lot slimmer. Now onto the camera. This is of course where the biggest upgrade is with camera control. Apple doesn't want to call this a button for whatever reason, but this is essentially the camera button. I think it's a cool idea. You can press it from wherever you are on the iPhone and instantly open up the camera app. What is nice is that Apple lets you open up different camera apps if you use something like Halide. As of now, not a ton of apps are supported because the developers do have to update their app, but as time goes on, third-party apps will be able to take full advantage of camera control and have their own set of menu options and individual controls. You can also make pressing this button open up a QR scanner, the magnifier, or nothing at all. So how it works is if you half press, you bring up the menu for whichever control you have selected. By default, this is the zoom, and by sliding your finger up and down, it will zoom in and out. The placement of the button has it on the bottom right, which is fine. I find this easy enough to get at while holding it in portrait mode. But what I will say about this button is that it's really short. I definitely find that my finger reaches the edge faster than I'd like, and depending on how I'm holding the phone, it might be a little hard to get at. Switching between the menus requires you to double half press, which took me a few minutes to figure out, but the gesture is okay once you're used to it. It is cool that you can change things like your aperture or which camera lens you're using, but most times I still think it's probably quicker just to tap the screen. We'll see once it comes time for my full review, but right now I think this is a cool feature, but probably something I'm not going to use a ton. Now, the cameras themselves are actually improved. A big thing is now between the Pro and Pro Max, the camera arrays are the exact same. Instead of the Pro having a 3x and the Pro Max having a 5x, both phones now just have a 5x zoom lens. I know some people aren't a huge fan of this because they prefer the 3x, but me personally, I do like having the 5x. That said, this telephoto is the same 12 megapixel lens from the 15 Pro Max, so don't expect any difference there. But there is a new 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera, which is an increase from the 12 megapixels last year. This will give you a higher level of detail with both macro and wide angle shots. Now, aside from that, there's two new features with the cameras, one being 4K 120fps slow motion, and the second, the new audio mix feature. So I have some music playing in the background. I don't know that any of these modes are super noise canceling, but it might help a little bit. So this one is just the regular normal audio mode. We are now switching to in frame. We are now in cinematic mode. And then lastly, this is the studio microphone mode. Next, there's a few accessories that pair great with the 16 Pro Max from ESR, who are sponsoring this portion of the video. First is their MagSafe battery pack, which is incredibly slim at just 15.5 millimeters thick, which is 38% slimmer than other options. months. While it's connected to your phone and charging, it stays cool thanks to its NTC sensors with constant temperature monitoring, which keeps the bank below 99 degrees Fahrenheit, much cooler than what most bakes land at, which is usually around 118 degrees Fahrenheit. The bank is powered by Qi 2 and provides 15-watt fast charging for the iPhone. This is enough to charge a 15 Pro to 84% in just 2 hours and 25 minutes, instead of a 77% charge in 3 hours with a 7.5 watt bank. The kickstand on the back props up the iPhone and makes it perfect for both portrait and landscape modes while watching videos or whatever else you may use it for. Next, ESR's 3-in-1 MagSafe charger with Qi 2 and CryoBoost offers the same 15-watt MagSafe charging and keeps your phone cool the entire time. The Apple Watch charger takes a Series 9 to a 75% charge in 70 minutes, all while being much more affordable than Apple's own MagSafe chargers. For when you're in the car, ESR's MagSafe car charger also features Qi 2 and CryoBoost, which can charge an iPhone 15 Pro Max in just over 2 hours while using the GPS. You can clip it onto your air vent or secure it to the dashboard depending on which you prefer. You can check out any of these items at the link in the description, and thanks ESR for sponsoring this video. So that's really all that's new with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Hardware wise, it's almost identical. While I do think the camera control is interesting, I just don't think it's something you should be running out to go and get. Now, Apple is really hyping these phones up as the phone for Apple Intelligence, but we're still waiting until October just to get the first batch of these features, and we won't have all of them until 6 months after launch. Hopefully we'll get a chance to look at the first of these features for the 1-month review, but for now, I don't think these phones are really worth upgrading to. That's all I got though, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.